Welcome to Marketplace Tech Bytes. It's our regular roundup of some of the big stories making headlines in tech this week, and maybe some you might have missed. I'm Meghan McCarty Carino. On today's show, the best bromance in tech might be fraying. Anthropic's new Claude can control a computer. And the robotics industry is seeing a little bit of a mini boom. To discuss all this, I'm joined now by our regular contributor, Natasha Mascarenhas. She's a reporter for The Information. Welcome, Natasha.
Hey, Meghan. How's it going?
It's going well. It's going very well. Today is actually a very special day for Marketplace Tech Bytes. It is our 1-year anniversary.
Yay. Oh, my gosh. Congratulations, you guys. Thank you for having me. What a year it's been. What a year it's been.
So we brought some Marketplace Tech Bytes, a bite of the year. I know we usually do the bite of the week. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But we wanted to tell our audience some special little numbers for our 1-year anniversary. So over the past year, the Marketplace Tech team has put out 52 episodes of Bytes, and we have covered more than 153 news stories. We've had great conversations with our rotating group of 7 contributors, including Natasha, who is here to give us our bite of the week now. This is, of course, a number that gives us some insight into our top stories. So, Natasha, what number do you have for us this week?
Yes, well, this is a little bit of a philosophical number, so stay with me.
Okay.
But my bite this week is 40. And that's to represent that actually today in history, the 40-hour work week actually went into effect, which I thought was kind of an interesting nod at all the innovation we're going to talk about. Obviously, people at Anthropic are probably not working 40 hours a week. It's a little bit more, but figured I would talk about the history of work a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure folks in tech are grinding it out and working whatever 100-hour work weeks. But yes, a lot of innovation going on. I love that innovation. 40-hour work week. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to the big happenings in the tech world this week.
Totally.
And this was reported in The Information. It's been reported in the New York Times. Some kind of behind the curtain goings on between OpenAI and Microsoft. These two companies, we've almost been referring to them in like a single breath over the last couple of years. Of course, Microsoft is the major investor in OpenAI. They plunked down $13 billion. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, at one point described this partnership as the best bromance in tech, but things are a little troubled in bromance land, right, Natasha? What's going on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, there has been so many examples of how the relationship has shifted over that, original $13 billion investment. And let's not forget, there is likely more on the way. But I think to your point, it's been a relationship that we've been talking about. They've been working together since 2019 when OpenAI was able to change the way that it was structured. And after this kind of boom, we've seen them, at times go closer, but at times clash. So I'll catch you up on the latest reporting. The latest reporting that we reported in early October is that OpenAI executives have kind of raised money recently, around $6.6 billion in capital. And at the same time, they're telling employees that they're going to play a greater role in lining up data centers to help, run all their innovation. While that doesn't sound controversial to begin with, that's actually Microsoft's kind of role, and it's what Microsoft wants to do for OpenAI. But the CFO of OpenAI has told some shareholders that, Microsoft hasn't moved fast enough to supply OpenAI with computing power. And so they need to go do their own thing in order to keep up with demand. And I think to me, it signals sort of this awareness that we need to diversify and we need to expand. And the thing that helped us get here is it has been great, but we do need to look elsewhere as well.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, when we look into some of the reporting that The Information has done, on OpenAI kind of burning through money. I mean, this is a very expensive enterprise to keep going. The estimate was that they lose about $5 billion a year. And so much of the investment that Microsoft put into the company is basically just going back to Microsoft to pay for its cloud services, its compute power. I mean, what does this kind of situation say to you beyond these two companies about the dynamic in kind of the AI startup world?
Yeah, I think, listen, like in order to be a large language model provider and maker today, you need to work with a company as big as Microsoft that has the resources, the capital, the surface area. And so that's what we're seeing the XAIs of the world, the anthropics of the world strike relationships with these sorts of partners. I think in some of those cases, like the Microsofts would enjoy for the relationship to maybe be exclusive, but I mean, that's not the case. And in the case of Microsoft and OpenAI, the companies did have a provision in their contract that allowed OpenAI to work on deals such as, creating data centers with other providers. I think it just shows a little bit of like the platform risk that has always been like a talking point in startup land, which is you don't want to only rely on one company to build your company, whether that's one capital provider, one cloud provider, one CEO that makes or breaks a company. And so to me, it's just kind of an explanation of that trend. And then in AI, with just like the competition, people are trying to create multiple strategic partnerships. And Microsoft, of course, is also trying to keep its grip on OpenAI. And so we'll see Microsoft, respond to this as well. And I think that'll be the next big storyline to pay attention to.
All right. Well, speaking of the AI startup landscape, let's move on to one of OpenAI's competitors, I guess, slash offspring, and that
Yeah.
is Anthropic, which this week released its latest and greatest version of the Claude language model with some new beta capabilities for developers to test out. Claude 3.5 Sonnet can now control a computer. Natasha, what exactly does this mean in practice?
If you've been hearing this word agents all over the internet and podcasts by AI companies, they really describe bots that can work towards goals with minimal guidance. And I think Claude 3.5 is another example of what people see the future of AI to look like. It can help it can work on its own. It can make basic tasks such as filling out forms a little bit smoother. And to me, it also signals a little bit of like what consumers are starting to anticipate and want from their AI, which is being a little bit more invisible or out of sight, out of mind, and doing the work for them. Of course, like we're already seeing that the benchmark testings show that they're still prone to error. So it's not like we're at the future yet, but we're getting closer. Because this whole question of control, I think, is really what is going to tip into the future of artificial general intelligence, another acronym AGI that I'm sure people are hearing all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anthropic kind of, when releasing this, admitted this is still kind of an early stage, but they wanted to release it early to get feedback. I've been sort of following some folks that have been trying this out. One of them, Ethan Mollick, the Wharton business professor, he kind of used it to create a lesson plan for high school students around the Great Gatsby and said it worked pretty well. And it was just kind of amazing to watch it. Basically, like, if you were going to do this, in the chat bot interface, you would have to give it such extensive instructions and probably couldn't do a lot of the things that it ended up doing. Searching the internet itself, finding lesson plans, looking up the Common Core curriculum, things like this, and integrating it into a spreadsheet. And then he said he had it play kind of a simple computer game, didn't do so well on that. But I mean, what does this kind of mean for the future of AI products?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I think I speak to startups all day, every day that are working on more vertical aspects of AI. So, you hear a lot about the LLM world, but you're also starting to see like the app side get a lot of venture funding. So like think about it like a an AI company for healthcare that makes it specifically HIPAA compliant to generate text and kind of answer questions about healthcare needs. So that's, I think that the verticalization of AI has been well covered. But I think as we see progress from some of these bigger companies, those smaller companies, despite Anthropic and OpenAI not necessarily launching, a healthcare arm anytime soon, at least from what I know, they're going to start to have either challenges in keeping up in case providers are able to fine tune the Anthropics and OpenAIs themselves. And kind of get to a similar product, or they're going to be, even better at providing that healthcare specific AI company. And so I feel like every progress, you either kind of can build on the shoulders of the giant, or you get crushed by it. And I think, with seeing something like Claude, it's going from kind of generation to kind of going beyond generation into the actual creation and automation. And so I think we're just going to start seeing, again, like these kind of haves and have-nots created for the general AI boom.
All right, well, now on to our third AI topic. It's AI
Yes.
all the time on Marketplace Tech Bites this week. We want to talk about some reporting that you've been doing recently on robotics. This is sort of, I think, what everyone imagines when we think of AI assistants. It's like Rosie from the Jetsons. And Natasha, you've been doing some reporting on this kind of mini boom happening in this industry. Tell us about that.
Totally. So I've just been hearing, all around. I kind of often am asking investors, okay, like other than AI, what are you backing? And of course, that usually gets answered with actually it's just AI. But in this case, I did get some answers, which was robotics. It's still kind of a cheat answer because robotics is finding a mini boom because of, to your point, it's yet another artificial intelligence topic. The reason is that robotics is an industry that has had, so many failures and so many challenges, right? Like the best machines that we have or best robots that we have continue to be vacuums or dishwashers, which are quite powerful robots. But we're seeing advances in generative AI that improve, computers' abilities to learn super complex tasks and behaviors. And by super complex, it's just mimicking human behavior. I spoke to Evan Beard, the CEO of StandardBot, recently, and he was explaining, while a robotic arm maybe is at a place where it can pick something up, it isn't at a place where, as a human, when you're opening the fridge and getting a pot out of it, the heaviness of the pot, the depth of the pot, the width of the pot, and like how much, energy to put when you're picking up the pot. While, with robotics, like a robot does not yet know that. And so we're seeing advances in computer vision and multimodal, which means advances in AI that can help, with text, voice, sight. And so I think that, we're starting to see a little bit of more energy towards companies in the space.
This all reminds me of a tweet that went viral earlier this year, I think from a sci-fi author. She said, like, I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so that I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so I can do laundry and dishes. That's what I want.
That is so good. That is so good. I know. I mean, it's a complete counterpoint. And so I guess I'll just agree with myself right now. But I just said earlier, people want AI to be invisible, but you're right. Like, I think that they want, maybe the generation side doesn't need like a sparkle button on an app when you have someone do search for you. But yeah, we still need kind of core capabilities when it comes to robots.
It is so interesting though that seems to be actually harder to achieve than AI that can do my, writing and creative tasks. So
yeah, no, I mean, and it's so much money too, right? Like, we are seeing, like, I think some really smart people enter the space. So like in May, we saw Cruise CEO, and Cruise, people probably know from seeing them all over the autonomous driving cars. Kyle Vogt raised 150 million for robots that can complete household chores. So good news. And then we're also seeing, of course, like humanoid robots and some of like, and Skilled, which is another really popular company that's going to develop software to power robots. And so the good news is we're seeing a lot of like general purpose robotics companies, and we're also seeing some really specific ones. So it's good when everyone's focused in different ways. I think we'll get somewhere.
All right, that's Natasha Mascarenhas with the information. Thank you for celebrating our 1-year anniversary with us. So good to have you.
It was so great to be here. Happy anniversary again.
Thanks. And thanks to all of you for joining us for Marketplace Tech Bites Week in Review. Rosie Hughes produced this episode. I'm Meghan McCarty Carino. This is APM.